Continuous distributions. Now we shift to continuous distributions that constitute a larger body of distributions to choose from during the process of selecting an appropriate. We need to ask in first place whether there's an industry-specific standard for a certain variable that is being evaluated. We will come back to industry-specific examples later on. At this point, let us shift the path that there is no industry-specific recommendation for a variable. Thus, the next question to ask is whether there's relevant data available. Selecting a distribution with available data. Assuming that there's available data, we can use at-risks fitting tool. The question of relevant data is easy to state, but admittedly difficult to define in practice. Every single case is different, and there are no straightforward answers to the question. How many historic data points do I need in order to create a relevant and appropriate distribution? In general, you should use as much data as possible as long as fundamental conditions have not changed. Take a look at the following chart that depicts on its x-axis the number of data points to be used. In other words, the more historic data points you have, the more statistical significance you possess. However, this is not a linear function with respect to your dataset size. At first, statistical significance increases really fast, and there comes a point where adding more data points to your dataset will not radically increase your statistical significance. On the other hand, the more historic data points you have, the less fundamental relevance these points will reflect, since original and fundamental conditions do change in time. Generally speaking, you should seek for the maximum number of data points available to gain the maximum possible amount of statistical significance as long as the fundamental conditions do not change in your dataset. It is the task of the expert to determine the fundamental nature of your dataset. In practice, this is easier said than done. Having said that, consider that at-risks fitting tool can do a fitting with a minimum of 5 data points. However, in order to start achieving some level of goodness of your fit, you may need a minimum of 20 to 30 data points, depending on the textbook that you quote.